Mary! Mary! Wake up! Mary! Are you okay? Oh my! Thank goodness, it was just a dream. What happened? I dreamed I was already a lawyer. That's amazing! No, it was a nightmare. I made a mistake, and the case was dismissed. Well, good thing it was just a dream. No worries of suspension or disbarment, right? It was so real. I hope it never happens. There's still 15 minutes before class starts. I'll go to the canteen and get some water. Okay, I'll stay here and read a little more on the topic. You should go.
So I hope everyone is ready for the graded recitation today. Ms. Pangandaman, kindly take this and run.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so our topic for today is Rule 4 of the Rules of Court, which is venue of action. Can you first define what venue is?
Venue is place where the action takes place.
You mentioned place twice. So no one will work for it, Ms. Pangandaman? Miss Filomena, you want to take this and run?
No, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Okay, so Ms. Pangandaman, what is venue?
It is the place where
Can you stop using filler sounds? It is so annoying. I will cut the finger for every filler sound that you make.
please no, ma'am.
That's too ass already. Put your hand out.
Please, please, no, no, ma'am.
Are you alright?
Oh my goodness, I fell asleep. Teacher's going to cut my fingers.
So I hope everyone is ready for the graded recitation today. Ms. Pangandaman, kindly take this and run.
Yes, ma'am. Is this the teacher?
Okay, so our topic for today is Rule 4 of the Rules of Court, which is venue of action. Can you first define what venue is?
Venue is the place where the action must be instituted and tried.
That's right. So based on Section 1 of Rule 4 of the Rules of Court, what kind of actions are instituted in what venue?
According to the first paragraph of Section 1, Rule 4 of the Rules of Court, actions affecting Title 2 or possession of real property or interest therein shall be commenced and tried in the proper court which has jurisdiction over the area wherein the real property whole or a portion thereof is situated.
That's correct. So is there anything else?
There is a second paragraph which states that forcible entry and detainer action shall be commenced and tried in the municipal trial court of the municipality or city wherein the real property involved or a portion thereof is situated.
Very good. So, Section 1 deals with the venue for legal actions. The first paragraph mentions the proper court. So, how do you determine that?
The first level courts, which are municipal trial courts, metropolitan trial courts, municipal trial courts in cities, and municipal circuit trial courts, shall exercise exclusive original jurisdiction in all civil actions which involve title to or possession of real property or any interest therein where the assessed value of a property or any interest therein does not exceed for 400,000 pesos. If the assessed value exceeds 400,000 pesos, the RTC has the jurisdiction over the case.
So, in that case, are venue and jurisdiction the same?
No, ma'am. Jurisdiction is the authority of the court to hear and decide on a case, while venue is merely the place where the act is brought or tried.
So, aside from using their definition, can you distinguish between venue and jurisdiction?
As to the governing law, jurisdiction is governed by substantive law, that is judiciary law or batas pambansa ng taan 29, whereas venue is governed by procedural law, that is stated in Rule 4 of the Rules of Court. As to waivability, jurisdiction over the subject matter is not waivable, but venue is waivable and can be subject to agreement. As to their limited capacity, jurisdiction limits the authority of the courts. However, venue limits the rights of the plaintiff. As the relation established, jurisdiction establishes a relation between the court and the subject matter of the action, whereas venue establishes relation between the plaintiff and the defendant or petitioner and respondent.
Okay, well done, Ms. Pangandaman. You may now take your seat.
Ms. De La Peña, can you take the center aisle?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. De La Peña, what is Section 2?
Section 2, Rule 4 of the Rules of Court discusses the venue of personal actions. It states that all other actions may be commenced and tried where the plaintiff or any of the principal plaintiffs resides, or where the defendant or any of the principal defendants resides, or in the case of a non-resident defendant, where he may be found at the election of the plaintiff.
There are 4 plaintiffs with 4 different cities of residences and 4 defendants also with 4 different residences. How many venues can be chosen?
Only one venue can be chosen by the plaintiffs now, but they have 8 options to choose from.
So in the case of Marcos Araneta versus Court of Appeals, GR number 154096, and promulgated August 20, 2008, why was the civil case dismissed by the Supreme Court when the so-called co-plaintiffs were also residents of the chosen venue?
In Marcos Araneta versus Court of Appeals, the case was filed in Batac, Ilocos Norte. The so-called co-plaintiffs who are residents therein were actually trustees of the principal plaintiff. They were only added later on in the case through a motion to admit amended complaint. However, as trustees, they are to merely represent the principal plaintiff and are not principal plaintiffs themselves. The principal plaintiff, who resided in her husband's house in Makati City, was active in the case and had initiated and prosecuted her claims, thereby becoming the real party in interest. Thus, the pleading of the trustees was unnecessary. Since the principal plaintiff was not a resident of Batac, Ilocos Norte, the venue was improperly named, resulting in the dismissal of the case.
Well said! Since you understand the provisions, we shall watch a video that explains vividly some cases pertaining to our topic. Come closer and have a look at this.
This is a man's world. This is a man's world.
Case Files by Tres Marias, your triple dose of cases as decided by the Supreme Court of the Philippines.
Good day to our avid viewers. I am Christy Marie.
I'm Mary Raquel Anthony. I'm Maria Shehani.
And we
Are the Tres Marias.
Let me begin with the first case involving Polytrade Corp versus Blanco, which dates back to 1969 in GR number L-27033. In that case, the company had its head office in Makati, Rizal. The defendant resides in Bulacan. The action was filed in Bulacan in order to demand for some products that were not delivered. The defendant sued for the dismissal of the case, claiming that the venue was improperly named, that the old Section 3 of Rule 4 of the 1964 Rules of Court should be applied, because both parties signed an agreement that they are agreeing to sue or be sued in the courts of Manila. By the way, this old rule is now covered in the paragraph B, Section 4, Rule 4 of the Rules of Court. It states that venue action shall not apply where the parties had validly agreed in writing before the filing of the action on the exclusive venue thereof. So, the issue here is, was the venue properly made? Yes, the venue was properly made. According to the Supreme Court, this case does not follow the exception from the rule on venue of personal actions because there was no exclusivity. There should have been word like only or should be at and no other. And so the courts of Manila became an added option to the venues provided by law. Since it is a personal action, the choices would be the plaintiff's or the defendant's place of residence. Here, the action was filed in the defendant's place of residence. Thus, the venue was properly named.
The recent case of Odilao versus Union Bank of the Philippines with GR number 254787, dated April 26, 2023, is somewhat similar and yet different. This time, the contract agreed upon the parties explicitly declared exclusivity of the venue for actions, which shall be Pasig City or in the place where any of the mortgaged properties are located, at the absolute option of the mortgagee, the parties here to waiving any other venue. The petitioner filed the initial case in the Regional Trial Court of Davao City, where the mortgaged property was located. It was dismissed due to the motion of the respondent bank, claiming that the RTC of Davao City was not the proper venue for the instant action. The petitioner moved for reconsideration, but her plea was denied. She filed an appeal in the Court of Appeals, but was again denied and the decision of the RTC was affirmed. After her motion for reconsideration was again turned down, the petitioner filed a petition for review on certiorari in the Supreme Court, alleging that the Court of Appeals had erred in its decision. The Supreme Court ruled that the mistake lies in the interpretation of the statement at the absolute option of the mortgagee, whereby the lower courts had the need for the defendant, which was the bank, to agree to the litigation to be done in Davao City. The Supreme Court explained that the venue of action is not a restriction of access to courts, but intended to provide convenience to the parties. If the petitioner were to ask the mortgagee and wait for its answer, she would be at the mercy of the bank and will not be able to practice her right to litigate. Thus, the decision of the Court of Appeals was reversed, and it was held that the case could be heard in Davao City. However, What happens if the respondents are not residents or cannot be found in the Philippines? The answer lies in Section 3, Rule 4 of the Rules of Court. Section 3 states that if any of the defendants does not reside and is not found in the Philippines, and the action affects the personal status of the plaintiff or any property of said defendant located in the Philippines, the action may be commenced in trial in the court of the place where the plaintiff resides, or the property or any portion thereof is situated or found. So in the case of Roman Pavana versus Joseph M. Gallimore with GR number L-825, where the defendant is the resident of Los Angeles, California, the court of the first instance of Occidental Misamis initially, upon the motion of a lawyer who has amicus curiae, dismissed the case. The dismissal was on the ground of lack of jurisdiction over the person of the respondent. However, the case filed had an attachment of the respondent's credit. The garnishment of property of a non-resident defendant confers jurisdiction on the court in an otherwise personal action, and the proceeding is in rank. The Supreme Court thus ruled out that the case can be heard in the place of residence of the plaintiff.
In every rule, there is an exception. We should always put to mind that our courts are both courts of law and courts of law. As courts of law, they dispose of cases according to what the law says. As courts of equity, they adjudicate cases based on principles of equity, which are justice, fairness, and fair play. Please continue watching the video. Yes? Okay. What? You'll file a case against me? Of course not! How can I listen to driving? No! Oh, shucks. I have those up. I'm so sorry, class. Anyway, I'll send tonight the rest of the cases for your digest. Okay, class dismissed. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello?
Here stands the building where dreams of wannabe lawyers come true. These halls echo the footsteps as they pass through day by day, going into their rooms to fight for their dream. And this is but a peculiar room where not dreams but nightmares happen. The biggest fear in each one is brought forth in the dark. The secret? Never, ever fall asleep.